Children's House and Intergenerational Center Director Demetria Craven talks about the issues she's noticed within the classroom concerning children's programming and African American kids.
I had an issue with African American girls wanting to be Hannah Montana. And then they're running around with a little blonde wig on. What's wrong with your Afro puffs? As far as the boys, I have a big issue when they're wanting to be the wrestlers. Of course, it's cute to them, but I don't want them to think that's what life is about, being this mean wrestler with, all this gory stuff on their face and, running around town thinking that, this is what they're going to be.
Women's Empowerment Specialist Tamoji Jackson and her daughter Tashana Jackson share their insight with us on African American children's programming, its effects and defects.
I have two little blessings from God, a boy child and a girl child.
Tashana tells us more about her favorite television show, Victorious. Take a listen.
Well, it's about teenagers who go to this school that they learn about their different talents. One of them, his name is Andre, and he plays music instruments.
There are certain channels which are blocked. My son is a little bit, he's feeling the male in him, and so I know that if I were to leave his TV unblocked, he'd have on BET, VH1, whatever. My daughter, however, she's better at censoring herself, but still as a parent I do have parental control over the television. They are not allowed to watch television until after homework is done and checked, and weekends cannot be spent in the house watching television. We're getting out. I don't know where we're going, but we're going to get in the car and we're going to go somewhere.
Certain people do certain things, like a lot of people who's African American plays a lot of instruments. Every culture sings, and they still do a lot of things alike.
Because she's African American, I feel it's very important that we support shows that show African American women, children, in a very positive light. That's important to see people who reflect the image of who and what you are. I only buy her African American doll babies. Why? Because if I look at you as my daughter and see beauty, I have to mirror that, reflect that in the things that I say, the things that I do, and how I treat you. And part of that is supporting her beautiful image by giving her lots of positive African American based dolls, books, programs, whatever I can find.
No, because it really slips through my mind when I'm at school.
My children are very involved. They're both blue belts in karate. My daughter is in her 7th year of formal dance training. They both sing on the youth choir at church. Because of my business, both of my kids participate in my business. So they help me get set up for workshops. And because of that, they're not home enough to watch television.
I always encourage the parents here, especially the single mothers, get them involved in something. Take them to the Y. They have basketball, they have baseball, they have soccer. When they get older, find some other programs for them to get into. Just keep them away, keep them busy, keep them active.
Everybody in the group are different in their own kind of ways, but they still say they're sisters.
There were not. I mean, I grew up in the good times era, so I saw Penny go through it. It's interesting because I watched the Brady Bunch. I enjoyed watching the Brady Bunch. I never got into Little House on the Prairie. I could not watch Little House on the Prairie. I don't know what it was. My spirit just did not receive it. But I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And so I'm in this city with lots of diversity, lots of art, lots of culture. So even growing up in Brooklyn in the 70s, I didn't want to be in the house watching TV. We went outside, we played Skelly. I can still double dutch. We double dutched the other night, and so these were things that I did. So television didn't rule the home the way it does now.
On the Disney Channel, I believe there are commercials that aren't geared for children. And that's what I'm saying, that you have to be there with your child and, monitor what they're watching, because the commercials today are very, very, oh, what is the word I'm looking for? They're just not appropriate for some of our children, especially if it's the makeup commercials, or the lingerie commercials, or even commercials with just sodas, just soft drinks. There's always a little sexual content in a lot of the commercials, even though the children don't realize it. We know, and then somehow later on they pick up on these things, especially the older they get. Third grade, fourth grade. I've heard conversations.
Limit TV says a number of studies have linked being overweight with TV watching because it both reduces children's physical activity and subjects them to ads promoting foods with high fat and sugar content. A television in a child's bedroom has also been reported as a strong predator of overweight, even in preschool age children.
It matter what time of day it is, because if it's late at night and one of my favorite shows are on, then I'll take my food in there and then eat and then bring it back.
Last year, we had a little girl, the age of 4, and she said, "I am fat." Now, what does a 4-year-old know about being fat? And she was not fat in any way, but I can understand what you're saying about the image of being thin and pretty, but they don't show African American women being thin and pretty, and even being natural, because then when you do see an African American woman on TV, or her hair has to be straight, she doesn't have the full lips, and she has to have on all this makeup, and I think it says a lot for our girls. It does damage our children in the long run when they see thin, when they think thin is in, and I have a big problem with that.
Their father and I don't agree on what's acceptable programming and not acceptable. And that's okay. Not okay that we don't agree. It's okay because it opens the door for dialogue. When they watch something, see something, hear something, they're not allowed ever to sit in their room with a closed door and the TV on. Never. And every time I go past their room to the bathroom, what you watching? What is that? And I will gladly change the channel or cut it off or even unplug it. None of it hurts my feet. Whatever I need to do, but I will not allow you to sit home all day, any day, hours on end, and just fill your mind with television. So the fact that we don't agree on what programming they should watch, it opens the door for dialogue. It used to bother me a lot, but it doesn't bother me anymore, because what I've realized is that the kids sitting next to them in school, they may have free reign of the television at home. My son was in the 2nd grade when he came home and told me what gay meant. And this was not something that we spoke about in the house. But those children in the classroom with him, whether they learned it from a parent, whether they learned it from the television, it opened up some room for dialogue. And because of the media, we have to start talking about topics a lot earlier with our children than we have in the past.
Craven shares her insight with us on whether or not she believes racism is covert or overt in children's programming.
It's there. It's there, and I'm going to tell you why I say it's there. Because when you watch Raven, That's So Raven, why do they always have her acting like a clown in the show? I mean, everything she does is silly, So, I mean, and so it just goes back to, back in the day, where the faces were painted and you're always acting and, little Sambo and all this stuff. And it's there. I have to think about it. It's still there because Raven was always, clowning, what's that show now? Everybody Hates Chris is it's always something about, he goes to this white school, with all the rich white kids, and they're trying to figure out, well, how do you go there? You know, how did you get to go to that school? So, and I know little kids watch Everybody Hates Chris. And I'm sure it's in some of the cartoons, but like I said, I don't get to watch cartoons a lot anymore because my daughter's 13. But it's there. It's there in some of those shows. And a lot of the Disney shows, you don't see any African American children. If you think about it, iCarly and all these other shows, you don't see any African Americans in it. Raven was probably the only main character in a show that I know of.
If your child watches anything uncensored, with no dialogue to follow, you have left the mind of a 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, even 12-year-old to just wander aimlessly and assume and just create what they feel happened in that show is reality. They are unable, especially my children are 9 and 11, they are unable to decipher what is real and what is not, especially in terms of behavior. I see students I work with students in elementary schools all the way up to colleges and universities, and I see behavior that imitates the housewives of Atlanta. It's unacceptable. No, everyone does not act that way. And I think it's important that we start to feed our minds more positive images of African Americans and African American women as a whole. We have such a small piece of the media market that we have to be very diligent of how we take care of that as you begin to start your families. Dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. It is very important daily to converse with your children. They will tell you more than they think they're telling you, but they open up a door for you to explain, for you to explore and examine anything that may have some sort of conflicting view within them. So talk. Talk. We have cell phones. I mean, talk. We have Skype. Talk to your children. They're right there next to you. You don't need any technology to do that. So whatever we do every day, parents, we have to talk to our children.
I really think that TV shows should be banned, honestly, because I think we've gotten away from having quality family time that we used to have when I was growing up. Eating dinner together at the table. You know, now children sit in front of the TV with their Happy Meals or their chicken nugget meals, you know, and mom's on the telephone or on the computer or doing whatever. And so I really think that TV now is a babysitter. I think we should take the TVs out of the homes, really, honestly, and get back to spending quality time with our children and making sure that they are prepared for the real world, because the real world is not on TV.
Craven says Bennett Bells are of great help to the Children's House. Interacting with the Bennett Bells give the children a chance to get away from the television.
They are very influential, especially if they come over a lot, because if we walk around campus and they see some of the girls that have volunteered with them, they run up and give them a hug, or they're like, I know her, and some of the girls, some of our little girls say that they go to Bennett College. So I think by having them come in, they see the importance of, you know, going to college, getting an education. You'd be surprised the influence that they have on the children, especially the girls that are that do the children's theater, and they come over and do interactive plays with them, and they love it. They love it. So you never know. We might have future actresses or future, you know, teachers, and just because, you know, they come over and spend time with our students.
This show has been brought to you with outside content from BET, Facebook, Google, and Limit TV. Thank you for watching.